Thank you very much, Lieutenant Choi. My name is Ned. I'm a second-year student here at the Kennedy School. I appreciate very much your comments today and in the past about the implications of don't ask, don't tell. My question has to do more with your understanding of the notion of civil disobedience. And in particular, I'm wondering whether you would advocate that all gay and lesbian members of the military follow the course that you've chosen. And if so, what would the implications of that be for both the readiness and preparations of our armed forces? And if not, why have you chosen this course?
Very insightful question. I appreciate that. I do believe that every single gay, lesbian, and bisexual member in the U.S. Armed Forces should commit civil disobedience against don't ask, don't tell. I believe that is a moral mandate. Because when you look at the idea of civil disobedience, and when you go through the history of not only people in our country, but people who have worn the uniform in other countries and been in professions that perhaps mandate against that kind of perhaps disruptive behavior, you could look at Socrates. And the very fact that when you look at what he said in the Crito and the Apology, I particularly read the Cliff Notes version. So I got the basic gist that he was telling truth to power. But that was a big no-no at the time for his profession, which really did demand so much of the members of that profession to follow along with certain kinds of regulations. You could go as far as American Revolution, when people used different kinds of tactics, and they were called ungentlemanly. And they were told that their kind of behavior using these tactics is so disruptive and so absolutely heinous that how could you dare do this? But now when we look back at history, we realize that it is so amazing that that was even called some kind of disobedience, some kind of direct action, some kind of disruptive behavior. And I think 60 years from now, or even 100 years from now, we'll look back on this day and we'll say, I can't believe that it was considered civil disobedience just to say 3 words. It is considered disobedient to say, I am gay. I just did it again. I committed civil disobedience in 2010 by saying, as a currently serving Army officer, I am gay. So yes, I do encourage people to do that. Not only because it's an important moral mandate, but because it does confer that dignity upon you in ways that many other things cannot. Rank can't do it. A pension can't do it. An increased salary can't do it. And those people, not only in the military, but others in the entire LGBT community in particular, they think that they can gain rank, or they can gain dignity, or they can confer that kind of acceptance or acknowledgement or recognition upon themselves by getting a promotion in their work, or doing something so wonderful for a particular political party, or being a major donor to a certain organization, have their name on a plaque, on a wall, on a brick. That does not confer dignity. The only way that you can do it is to stand up in a way, and sometimes it does require agitation. I know that I answered your question in a little bit of a general sense, and you're particularly talking about my use of the uniform in getting arrested at the gates of the White House. For me, it was a difficult decision. It was not easy because I knew the sentiments of wearing that uniform and the fears that people would have when they saw that. The implications, not only in civil disobedience for gaining equality and repealing don't ask, don't tell. Some people have pointed out, well, what if people use that kind of tactic for other methods? Would you be okay with that? And I think it's absolutely heinous to think that all of the political agendas that people have in mind are equal to the very essence of don't ask, don't tell's heinous nature, which enforces lying. I think it's absolutely unfair and inappropriate comparison. Don't ask, don't tell is the absolute most immoral law, and it requires us to stand up using all means necessary. For me, wearing that uniform, certainly. There are some people who would say it goes against their sentiments and their ideas of tradition and symbolism. For some people, I've gotten messages say that it irked them to a point that they just didn't know how the gay community would look in the eyes of those people who were supposedly on the fence. And they were just so ready to support the repeal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell. If you hadn't done that, now you did that and you screwed up the whole thing. Yeah, so there's a lot of people who always use that argument. But for me, when I think about the uniform, I realize that on the very first day that we wear the uniform, that we put on the uniform and we raise our right hand, we do it not for symbolism and not for traditions and not for sentiments. We do it because we protect the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And as I wore that uniform in a foreign capacity, I have no problem using it in a domestic capacity against the very enemy of our Constitution, which is discrimination, which is inequality. And for the moment, for me right now, is don't ask, don't tell.
I applaud your courage as well, like all of my fellows here. And my name is Paul Duffy. I'm from Boston. My question is a follow-up to the gentleman here. There are a number of men and women who don't have the type of courage that you do and are not able to come out, who are actively serving. Presumably you know some and many of them. A different type of courage will probably be needed in strategy as Don't Ask, Don't Tell is finally repealed. And I wonder how you counsel and work with those still closeted members of the service.
Thank you so much for that absolutely insightful question, because when you talk about what it requires to even come up with strategy, a lot of people feel that they have the courage to do that. And when you talk about the courage that's required and the proposition that I have a certain kind of courage that other people don't, I contest that. I think every single person has the kind of courage that is required to tell the truth. And for a lot of us, when we are put into certain situations, that courage comes to the surface. I think for a lot of people, they have to realize why certain people make those decisions. Some people say courage is nothing more than a mere lack of options. When your back is against the wall, you will be courageous. When you have no other choice, you will be courageous. And as far as strategy goes, I think we must realize the human nature that forces us to take action, mostly at times when we have no other option but to be courageous. So when we develop our strategy and we develop our actions, we have to realize that we must agitate to the point that people are uncomfortable and they feel that they cannot do anything else. When we can achieve that, and when we can agitate to the point where we tell particularly those people who purport to be on our side that you must make this decision, we are forcing you to be courageous, that's when we can start to succeed. But until then, all we're going to do is, and now I'm talking about particular political parties and particular political agendas and particular political leaders who might put their agenda and their own jobs at a higher priority than equality and the dignity of gay and lesbian people, LGBT people. I think that they haven't had the pressure. They haven't ever had their back against the wall. They've never seen that gay people in America will stand up to them. And until we can do that, our only strategy is to accommodate to one particular party. Until we can actually force that particular political party or those political leaders to take action, we're only going to get the incremental, accommodating token positions within that movement and pretend that they're on our side. The fact of the matter is, they are not on our side. They pretend to because they have a political agenda. And until we can raise ourselves up to agitate, we're going to be stuck in the same gear.